Okay, in my last video where I tackled the wiring, I mentioned that I was going to be putting a baffle on my underside of my hood because I put a WRX hood scoop on here. Let me show you what I did here. So I'm trying to keep the firewall cool. I want my turbo to be cool. So if you look up here, I've got a WRX hood scoop that I purchased and I put on here. And what you're looking at here, you see these clevis pins. That's those silver things right here. So I got two clevis pins, and what they do, the clevis pins go through the hood scoop, and I don't know if you can see it up in there. And so the two clevis pins, see it sticking through? There's a spring attached to the clevis pin, and then there's an eye. See that? This is threaded eye, and then that comes down into through my plate, piano hinge, and this is a nylock with another nut on the back side. And that, with a washer, that allows me to adjust this thing. See, so I can adjust the second nut to adjust the tension on my baffle, and that's going to allow this to stay closed at idle, right, when I'm not moving, because you don't want air coming out of the motor rising up through your air intake if you're doing what I'm doing. So this would be closed when I'm not moving. I go down the highway, air's going to blow through and it's going to open this up a little bit, okay? And what it's going to do is deflect the air. So this should drop right on top of the valve cover, right? So it'll pop open just a little bit. I just need it to open a little bit, right? I don't need a lot. And that's going to deflect the air into the firewall, down on the turbo, and push this hot air out of this back side of this engine. And if I can keep my turbo with fresh air coming down against that firewall, keep that turbo a little cooler, I'm going to be a lot happier. So that's what I've done. I just wanted to share that with everybody here. Kind of take a look. I still have to paint it. So basically what we got is we got a aluminum piece of aluminum with a piano hinge, and then I cut a hole in the hood. So let me try and explain that. So when you open your hood, you take your I want to not ruin my motor, transmission, and turbo hood bonnet off your hood. You'll see there's already kind of an opening that was in here. It looks like at some point in time it was a thought that they might have put a hood scoop on this thing for some odd reason, but it's just weird how they designed this. Anyway, so you can put a hood scoop on it, use your imagination, cut the inside out of your hood. And you have to do this, because if you don't do this baffle, the heat will, or the fresh air will blow down on the motor, and it'll force air to the front of the engine, which will block the minuscule amount of air that comes through the radiator to help keep this engine bay cool. And Volkswagen likes that their engines run fairly warm, because, you know, these are built for varying climates, right? So my opinion, not enough air comes through the radiator, and the front grille is just inadequate for airflow. And I don't live in a real extremely cold environment, so I don't need this engine running at whatever temperatures it's running at externally. I know it's about 190, right? 190 degrees or whatever it is. But if I can keep this engine bay a little cooler for my climate, I'm going to be doing a lot better. So, Chloe, be quiet. And that is my goal. So that's what I did. WRX hood scoop. I've got my baffle here, spring-loaded, adjustable, aluminum plate, piano hinge, and there you go. So hopefully that helps somebody out. And if this winds up not doing what I want it to do, or if it increases any of the temperature readings that I've already taken on the front of the engine, I'll just seal it up. You know, I'll put a screw here and a screw there, but I really don't think that's the case. I'm pretty well thought out on these things. So, over and out. You got any questions, leave a comment. If you got any questions, maybe I can help. If you're, I don't recommend doing any of these modifications I'm doing unless you're willing to accept the risks involved, because I don't know the long-term effects right. I'm just going off my generic understanding of the basics on engineering, mechanics, and thermodynamics, right? So I like to do a little experimenting, and that's just the engineer in me. So if you're not sure you want to do this, then don't do it, So I don't want people doing something and then maybe a year down the road it might cause something to run hotter than it should, I don't think so, but I'm just letting you know. I'm kind of just playing around here, so I'm willing to accept the risk. So, all right, got any comments or questions, just feel free to leave them. Hopefully that helps somebody out. Have a good night. Take care.